everybody. Welcome back to Fangirlz Assemble. So I am back from China.
Yay.
I'm alive. My brain's a little dead, but I think I'm starting to come back. Hopefully enough for this morning show for anyone who's joining us. It's probably a small crew. I don't care.
Those are some coherent sentences. Like, you sound good.
Yeah, right. So it's me and Kristan.
Oh no. Yeah, your audio went out. That's okay. Hey, Frank's in the chat. What's up, Frank? Thank you for joining us. We're so excited that someone's here. I think while Maddie is muted or something happened, I'm going to talk about InStockTrades.com, who is our fabulous sponsor. You can go there and get all your great books, all the books we talk about today. I wish I could figure out what's happening with Maddie. You want to go out and come back? Will that work? We can't hear you. I don't know why I'm asking. Well, you should go to InStockTrades.com. Free shipping, $50 or more, and you guys know we love it. We love going there. We're going to talk about books that you can get there today that you may already have, maybe you don't have, because our topic today is recommendations for new readers. If anyone's watching Maddie down in the corner, this will be really fun for you. While she's figuring that out, I'm going to look at the coming soon. What is coming soon on InStock Trades? Come Tuesday, that's when they update. We all love that. It's going to take a second for my internet to pop up. Jesse say what's here. What's up, Jesse? What's up, Lee? Thank you guys for joining us. What is coming out Tuesday that you guys are excited for? Oh, I hear you.
Let me just mute. Oh, man. You guys. Let's just have 2 videos of me, I guess. This is bullshit.
Oh, why not? Why not? Wait, now we have 2 angles. That's great.
All right, continue.
I was just looking at what's coming up on Tuesday. Cable and X-Force Omnibus. I know some people are excited about that. Do you have anything coming out you're excited about, Maddie? Do you even know? I don't even know.
Oh, man. Honestly, my money is all gone, so now I don't know, like...
That's how I feel. I'm just like, I don't care, because I can't get anything.
It's my birthday, though, so, like, if anyone's trying to buy stuff off my IST wish list or give me an IST gift card, I'm not going to say no. I'll review it.
Oh, yeah, the Monstrous hardcover's coming out. I know you pre-ordered that, right?
Oh, yeah, I pre-ordered that. Oh, I checked my card information. My card got compromised before I went to China. So
oh, no.
I've got to, like...
That's terrible.
Yeah.
Remember that. I think those were the 2 big ones, so check those things out. That's InStockTrades.com. Again, our great sponsor. I was going to say, are you froze now?
Sorry. My internet's coming out. Oh, God.
Well, at least we can hear you.
Yeah.
That's good.
Man, I don't know what happened. I'll go out and buy a new headset today, you guys. I'm sorry.
It'll all be good. So like I was saying earlier, our topic for today, we want to talk about books to get new readers into comics. I know, Maddie, you mentioned it, and I have it too, where I have friends who don't read comics, and I'm like, how can I make them interested? Like, what would I recommend to them? And it's very hard to do a general, like, if you don't know the people, read this. But I kind of came up with one of those, like a top 5 of like one of those. Top 5s are hard too.
Yeah.
But, you know. So I don't know. You want me to jump into that?
Real quick. I've got a little bit of a haul real quick to show.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I forgot.
No, it's fine. We went through it. You know, there's a lot going on.
I was in panic topic mode.
Yeah. Okay. So, I didn't really buy too many comics in China because I didn't even think I'd be in a comic book store. I was there for work, so I was wherever we took the group. But I found a comic book store like my last, or not comic book store, but a bookstore my last day. And I had a little bit of yuan left. So I picked up a couple souvenirs for Omar and Amanda because they picked up stuff for me that last trip. So
That's
I got
awesome.
an X-Men book for...
Oh, we heard you twice. I love it's bouncing back and forth now. Hold on. I think we can hear you on your other, like your first one now.
What happened? Okay.
I don't know.
1 second. Shit. Let me mute this. Can you hear me?
Yes, it sounds double though.
All right, I'm back.
Yeah, that's better. That's better.
Oh my gosh, this is so dumb.
But I love the angles. When you were like, wait. It's like, oh, now she has camera people.
I'm gonna get like 10 dislikes. Even there's only like 5 people watching. Okay, so I picked up this X-Men for Omar. I couldn't tell who wrote this or anything. So
that's totally astonishing X-Men. At least that's the cover from one.
Okay.
So that's cool.
Hopefully he likes it. And then I picked up. I happened to see it on my way out. Amazing Spider-Man. So I got
nice.
But I told myself on this trip I wouldn't get anything for anyone unless I saw something and I was like, oh, this works, you know. So just happened to. And then, but my favorite pick is I got for me, and this is just happenstance. Is this comic right here?
It looks amazing.
Well, it's kind of a web comic on Weibo, which is like Chinese Facebook, basically, about this guy and his cat, who he's called Emperor, which is why I got the hat. But his cat and his pug.
Oh, it's perfect.
Now, for those of you who know me, I have a cat and a pug, so I saw this, and I had to. Basically, well, the English title I've seen online for this is My Love and Hate Relationship with My Cat. But like it's more like, yeah, I mean it's like I love how you can't change me, sort of like it's kind of the Chinese, but
yeah. Can I see some of the inside?
Absolutely.
I'm so excited for it.
So in the beginning, there's cute little drawings and stuff.
I love it.
But it's basically like kind of one panel comics about his life with his cat. About, you know, like this was pretty self-explanatory.
Oh.
You know, the cat sees himself as a tiger and the dog just doesn't see anything. I find some other cute ones. Like, I like this one because the cat's like, play with me. You're really not going to play with me while the guy's watching porn or whatever. But it's so cute. I've been flipping through this book and there's so many cute art and everything.
Oh,
like, look at this little pug.
I love it.
And this is the first book. I think there's like 4. It's pretty famous. I'm gonna buy more when I go back. But it also came with this cute little like notepad. To really like. And I got I guess it's so big that there's toys of it. So I bought like 4 blind boxes.
Ooh.
Here's a couple of the little figures I got.
Oh, I love it.
So I'm going to use this as kind of my Chinese reading practice. And I'll report back if it's funny. So far it looks funny. So
fantastic.
But yeah, that's my China haul. Anyways, we can do the show now that everything works.
I love it. I want to look at those. One day when I see you, I'm going to pull that off your shelf and I'm going to look at it.
Absolutely.
So, it's top 5 books thing. Again, there's no order. I mean, I just picked 5 that I feel like I can generally be like, I'll tell you why. So I'm going to go through those. And I'm going to start with one that I recommend every day of my life anyway. I could not put it on here. It's just Giant Days. I think it's a good general, you know, you can even relate it back to if you like this comedy on TV, if you like a good like dialogue-centric, character-centric thing. I think this is great for fans of Buffy. I think, you know, which is probably why I love it so much. It's just easy, and it's easy to jump into. You don't have to know anything prior. It's good to be like, this is what comics can be if you assume everything's a superhero comic, right?
Right.
I don't know. It's the best of the boom stuff, I think. So it's easy to be like, here you go. If you're interested in things, this may be for you. If you like slice of life stuff, this is for you. I think it's an easy recommend. So then I was like, oh, I should probably pick something in the superhero genre, if people are wanting to get into comics and they want superheroes, something that's easy to jump into, you don't need 172 years of history to get, which is hard. But speaking of Astonishing X-Men that you held up, I picked Astonishing X-Men. This is Joss Whedon's run. I love Joss Whedon. The characters are great. I like the art. It's easy to jump into. It may be, it's not modern anymore, but, a lot of people don't like modern X-Men anyway. But you can easily get these trades and you can easily jump into it. And if you want to know what X-Men's all about, maybe you like the movies, maybe you hated the movies. Well, this will be good for you either way, really. If you like the movies, well, here's some more good content. If you hated the movies, well, here's something maybe better than the movies, right? So I think that's an easy thing. I'm just going to breeze through these, apparently.
Hey, go for it, and then we can talk about it. It's fine.
Then I had to pick something that's within the big two. It's Marvel. But it's something that's like I feel like has never been done before. It really blew me away, and I've read a lot of Marvel comics. And it's to this day something that the majority of comic fans love. And that would be the Vision.
Oh gosh, yes.
I mean, it's amazing art, and the storytelling is just, well, everyone knows it's crazy pants and crazy things happen. You're never going to see it on a big screen, I don't think, unfortunately. But it's something that, like, if you want someone to get into comics and show what even the big two can do, that's like unique and amazing. I think this is a great, like, here you go. You don't need to know anything about this character, this family, or anything. Jump in and get your mind blown. So then, the easy one that everyone loves would be Saga.
I was going to put that on my list too.
Yeah. I think this would be on, like, anyone's list. I have seen some of these lists, and I feel like, I don't even know why I'm going to show you interiors for any of these. Everyone knows Saga. But if you have a friend who doesn't read comics, you want to get him into it. I mean, this is such a great, like...
There's nothing like it. I mean...
That's the thing. There's nothing like it. The art's going to blow you away. The writing's going to blow you away. I mean, and if you get him a nice hardcover like this, I mean, who has something like that? They may be like, I didn't know comics came this way, right? Because so many people don't, right?
It's a hell of a first cover to have.
Well, that's true. But that's such an easy one. I don't even have to go into that. And then finally, because it's one of my favorites, Essex County. I do have a bit of story with this because, I read comics growing up. I read a lot of Buffy comics. I read some Marvel. Anything my dad had, I kind of picked up. But, see, I pulled up an article on this. It was back in 2011. Every year, to my knowledge, I guess they still do it, there's a thing called Canada Reads. And it's where I think 5 Canadians pick 5 Canadians books, and they kind of go head-to-head in matches where they discuss why this should be the Canada Reads Book of the Year, that all Canadians should read. Well, this book was chosen in 2011 by Sarah Quinn of Tegan and Sarah. So I was in college, and I don't think I knew that books could be this way, like comics could be this way. So I picked it up before this thing started to read it with Sarah, who I love. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to champion this with her. And I watched it like every morning. And it was one of those things where, like, she even knew, like, I got to meet her after this once, and I talked to her about it. But she's like, I knew going in, people weren't going to treat this fairly. Because it was a book with pictures. And even though the art's amazing, the storytelling's amazing, and it's worthy of being championed for this thing, she's like, I knew it wasn't going to be a fair game. So it was kicked out like the first round. And then after that, other people have to keep pushing other books. But so it didn't get a fair shot, but it was pretty amazing. I think it was the first one that had been picked for this sort of thing. And I guess it's a big thing in Canada. I'd never heard of it, but I got up every morning to watch it. Well, just stream online. But so yeah, it was my first kind of like indie, I guess, exposure at the time, and it just blew me away. So, and it's one of those things, again, you just jump into it. You don't need to know anything. And this can show people who had no idea, kind of like me, that comics could be that way. They could be just about a small town, a group of people, and living their lives, right?
Yeah.
So those are my 5. My general 5.
Okay, so I talked a little bit with Kristan before this, and it's always really hard for me to do top fives and stuff because, especially with recommendations, because for me it's a lot based on recommending to a person's interest, and we can talk about that. But I'll do a top five off the top of my head. Like if I just was doing like a real quick, here's a good entry, here's a good mix of stuff to jump into. Saga for sure. I mean, it's just, so many people can really get into that genre. There's a lot to get into with Saga. There's a lot of real people stories in there. It is, despite the fantasy and everything else, I think a fantasy is good when there's real people interaction and everything feels genuine. And I think that's true to Saga. And it's also it was just crazy. It was a lot going on and it's beautiful. And I think it's a good example for a new comic book reader to see what comics can do. Besides that, I'm trying to think of my top from Marvel and top from DC. From DC, I feel like keeping in mind something current and new, to appeal to newer aesthetic tastes of people today, I would say Super Sons. It's a really good jumping in point. Because most people, they know Superman, then they know Batman, right? But I feel like they don't have a good understanding of those characters. And you can get a better understanding of those characters and surrounding DC characters through these two young boys, because they're new, fairly, And I think it's a good starting point and window into what the DC universe is right now. And they're so fun. It's so easy to fall in love with these two characters and then through them fall in love with the surrounding characters. And I think if you're trying to get someone into the big two or like big comic continuity, the best thing you can do is start them off with newer characters that kind of exist on their own, have their own timeline that's somewhat unaffected by the rest of the events. So that way they can get started and get interested and then kind of branch out. Because I think that's how it worked for me and continues to work with me for comics, is finding one story and then branching out. Although I probably should have said Mr. Miracle. Mr. Miracle will be my second pick for DC, just because that story is great, and I didn't know anything about those characters going in, so it must work. I think for new readers. For Marvel, I think that's a little bit trickier because I want to lean towards. I can't help but lean towards my ladies. All of those just single character driven stories. So like I'd say All New Wolverine.
It's a good one.
It's so good.
It's easy to jump into as well. Like you don't need to know anything.
Exactly. And so I think and she's a character I think that the mainstream media doesn't know about too much, except for outside of like the Logan movie. I think she's a great starting on point. If not that, maybe just Miss Marvel. I think because she's such a relatable character to a lot of people, a lot of geekier people. I think that's pretty easy to jump into. Besides that, I feel like I'd have to say I can't help but look for my own bookshelf and choose from there. But I'd say something like, man, I want to say Giant Days too.
You can.
I'd say besides that, like for more real life stuff, I really recommend Snock Girl to people all the time, just everyone, because I have a lot of friends that aren't into comic books but are into manga or anime or whatever, and so many people love Snock Girl. I'm always so surprised because I don't see non DC or Marvel comic book cosplays often, but I do see Snock Girl a lot. So I'd say one of Brian's books, either Snock Girl or Scott Pilgrim, is a great jumping on point. I mentioned more than 5, but we'll just say that's my top.
Have you read Seconds?
No, I haven't.
Oh, girl, you have to.
I want to buy that nice looking, because they have like a nice hardcover, right?
Yeah, it's so good.
It looks so cute. I want to.
You'll like it. You'll like it.
But yeah, that's my quick and dirty recommendations, because I can't. It's always hard.
I'm good with that. Those are good. Those are really good. Super Sons is a great one. I hadn't even thought about that. Because, like, I don't even read that much DC, and I loved that omnibus.
It's so good.
It's fantastic.
Rebirth stuff, like, lately, because I've been now that I've gotten into comic books, I've gotten more friends into comic books, so I think a lot about what to recommend to people. And for people looking at getting into DC, I'm like, listen, you're really lucky right now. The best thing you can do is just start at Rebirth. Like, read the Road to Rebirth books. There's 3 of them. It makes the new Superman very, very interesting. I really like him, and such a great opening into like the current DC world. And it's so, well, maybe not now, but at the beginning of Rebirth, it was so lighthearted. And so it's just so fun. It's not dark and brooding. It's just really fun.
Something
it's
different.
Different right now, unfortunately. But, you know, starting out, it was such a great time to start getting into comics with Rebirth because everything felt so fresh and new and lighthearted, which is what I wanted. It's not that I mind dark storylines, but it felt something similar to like a lot of Marvel stories too. Because you've got like Unstoppable Wasp and Mockingbird and all these stories that got canceled that are so fun.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're laughing that they got canceled, but that's kind of good for new readers because then you can be like, there's only this many trades, you're good. Like, you don't have to keep going forever, you know?
And all those books too, like, you know, there's so many good short Marvel series that are great for new readers because they start it and then they're so interested in other characters. Because I've had friends that started reading those and then immediately got interested in other characters. Like, they read Mockingbird and Unstoppable Wasp, and they're like, oh, who are these other ladies hanging out? I want to see them. And so they go to the next book and then the next book. And then next thing you know, you can't help but read the larger Marvel continuity. That makes me happy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Has there been anything lately you've recommended to friends? Because I assume that you're like me, that now that, because you're into comic books, but you've been in comic books longer. I don't know. What's your experience been like trying to... I'm personally a comic book pusher. It doesn't always work for me.
It doesn't always work for me either. I think that's another thing. Like, someone's got to be really interested to really do it, you know? Mm-hmm. You know, I recently read My Friend Dahmer by Jerf Backderf. Have you heard about this?
Is that what the movie was?
There's something involved with the movie, but this was a comic that's been in the works for like ever, basically.
Okay.
But yeah, it's about this guy who went to school with Jeffrey Dahmer, and he tells that story of when they were kids and what he was like, mixed with kind of what happened and his home life. And he did tons of research and like talked to his friends, and it's fascinating. I read it like all throughout one day, and I loved it so much. So I think that's something like, you know, you and I are really into My Favorite Murder. This is a great book. It is a true crime book, but it's told differently because that guy really knew him when they were kids. So he's able to like, it's also that guy's story, right?
Yeah.
And it's fantastic. Also, it's on Comixology Unlimited. So anyone watching who's wants that, check it out. I loved it so much. So I mean, that's one that like I feel like I could get non-comic true crime fans into that.
Absolutely. That's how I feel about Nailbiter. I haven't finished reading it yet, but
yeah, I loved it. But you're right, because it's like, I mean, even though it's fictional, it is a total like true crime world because it's all about murder. Like, so yeah, that would be a great one. I also think about like TV shows continuing in comics. That is such a thing that happens all the time now. A lot of people don't like it, but I love it. I love everything about it. Of course, I love the Buffy comics that continue. You know, X-Files is doing it. Smallville's doing it. Like, so many shows that like maybe people like superheroes and stuff, but they never continued it, or they like the sci-fi genre and they never continued it. So I hope that that's happening. Like, a lot of people probably aren't even aware of it. I wonder how many X-Files fans really realize that like it continued in the comics, you know? But that would be an easy way, I think, to get a lot of people, because I jump on that. If a series I love ended and it's continuing, I don't care how it is. If it's in novels I'm reading it, you know, however, I want more.
And a lot of people didn't know about Buffy and Angel. I mean, it's been years.
Yeah. And they still don't know. You're right. Yeah.
It just ended, but like it went on for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's rebooted. So like there's so many of these things that like you can get back into now. How great is that? Like Xena, I mean, you know, Dynamite does a really good job of continuing some of these things. Like Xena's still going. Like, and I want to get into that for sure.
And I'm sure a lot of people don't know about that either. Or like even like the new Star Wars comics and Marvel. I mean, if people aren't checking these out, like maybe they didn't like the Dark Horse stuff. Well, it's back at Marvel and it's amazing, you know?
It's enough to even get me interested. And I'm I'm not a Star Wars person. I want to be. But, what I've read so far has gotten me more interested than the movies did. And that's a big deal. So it makes me wonder about other like continuation. Like I haven't read the Star Trek comics, but I'm really into Star Trek, so I'd like to check that out. But
well, some of those, I'm sure some of those licensing books like aren't great, but I picked up that Ghostbusters Answer the Call book from the new Ghostbusters movie, and I mean it's fantastic. So if you like that movie, you're gonna like that. And that's an easy parallel to draw too. Like, oh, if you liked that, you're also gonna like this thing because it's good.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and we definitely have to talk about some of the continuing cartoon comic books. There's a ton. I mean, I'm just what I thought about it. Adventure Time. Those comics are fantastic, and
they're great.
The collected hardcovers look amazing.
Yeah, I mean they're amazing, and also like
you can find them everywhere too. It's so cheap.
Yeah, you can find them at like every half price books for like really cheap, which I've gotten most of mine from. I don't know why, but yeah, and they're oversized and they're like cute little hardcovers. There's no dust jacket. And I mean, it's just full of like different artists and writers and a lot that you will know. Like big names want to be a part of these books, which is really cool. So they're not like, these aren't just for kids. Like, I mean, if you like the show, you're going to enjoy them.
Especially like, we got Avatar and Korra. And those are already fantastic series. And then the comic books are made by those same people who worked on the show. So you're getting the same quality art and story and canon continued. So all those questions that you wanted answered are answered in those comic books. Like
that's great too, because so many of like the creators for these things are getting involved. Yeah. So it's not bad stuff. Like it's good.
Man, I love comic books.
I also have here, because I think about this, the March box set by John Lewis, which is about his life and, illustrated by Nate Powell. Maybe I can get a book out. Why is this so tight? There are 3 paperbacks in a really tight box set. Literally tight. I'm sure everybody watching knows this series, but this would be great for like anyone who's into history or, nonfiction. I can easily see someone who hadn't picked up a comic picking this up. One, John Lewis was directly involved. He tells his story. I mean, it is essentially an autobiography of the civil rights movement and his experience. And I've never read anything like it. This is something that I wish they taught at schools. Hopefully one day. Maybe it's happening. I'm not in schools now. I don't know.
I would love for schools to utilize graphic novels more, because I really feel like, as a kid, I got really into reading novels later in life. I mean, like middle and high school, and then I just consumed books at all times. But growing up, it was mostly graphic novels. But that's what really saved me and then elevated my reading level as a kid. Like people don't think it's a very useful medium, but it absolutely is.
Yeah, especially
with you before we started the show, Amy Chu. Who wrote Red Sonja and also the Poison Ivy book and some other things as well. She has this this logo with like a catchphrase under it that says it's a medium, not a genre. Talking about comic books, because so many people they think, oh, I'm just not into comic books, and I thought that too, ish. But it's not a genre. There's so many different pockets in comic books. I guarantee I can find a comic book that someone will like based on their interest. Like 100%, you can find something. Same with like manga or TV shows or movies or books. Yeah. You can find something for anyone. And it's a gateway drug.
Yeah, and we were also talking about this, but that's why my pushback when someone says, I don't like any manga, I'm just like, that doesn't make any sense. You can't, those are just comics that were made in Japan. Like, you can't say that you don't like any. Which, speaking of, Monster is a great gateway manga.
Yes, it is.
For people, even if, like, say you've never read any comics or you love Western comics, this, the characters, the art, the way it's written feels like a Western book to me. More than a lot of manga.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and it's a great mystery. There's a lot going on. There's only 9 perfect volumes. So there's not 90, like, I'm sorry, One Piece. So it's not daunting.
I can't recommend One Piece for beginners anyways.
It's daunting.
It's a lot to read at once. I think once you're in, but I would rather recommend it to slightly seasoned readers.
Sure.
But yeah, I like Monsters is a perfect example. All of Naoki Urasawa's books, because to me, watching Monster reminds me of watching like another HBO show. I'm like, this is the one.
Oh, that would be great as one. Yeah.
This is the perfect example of a Japanese product that would be perfect in America and could be done so well. You know, because it's such a, like, it feels European because of course it's set in Germany, right? But like, man, that series. Naoki Urasawa really knows how to do it, though. I mean,
any of his stuff. You're right. Just like, you can easily recommend any of it to a new person, whether they're new to reading comics or just, want to branch from the Western world to manga. Like, man, that's where to go.
So good. And then, we've got Junji Ito books have gotten really popular here now, too. So, like, I recommend a lot of those now because a lot of the younger kids, the
kids these days,
they're all reading Junji Ito. It's crazy. Yeah. Like, everyone is cosplaying Tomie.
That's crazy.
You can buy that stuff in stores at Hot Topic. Just like
any stores. Stuff. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that. If you want to read horror and have it be something you're not used to seeing, you've got to read Ito because it's just bizarre.
It's something you'll have never experienced before.
Oh my gosh. And speaking of horror, there's a ton of really good books to recommend in comic books. Like, if we have Rachel Rising, which we all read together, and honestly, I would recommend that to all different sorts of people. If you like horror, that's good. If you like supernatural stuff, that's good. If you're a Buffy, if you're an early 2000s drama fan and you like Buffy or Veronica Mars, Rachel Rising,
100%. Also, like, if you like the new Sabrina show on Netflix, like, that's
Rachel Rising.
Yeah.
Don't read Sabrina, but read Rachel Rising.
Please don't. Oh, it was so bad.
Man. And speaking of like shows like Veronica Mars, go read Nancy Drew.
Yeah.
Dynamite.
100%.
So good. Like,
definitely. Oh, and these are 2, I forgot when we were talking about cartoon, like, continuations. Rugrats, which I've talked about before on here. It's so good. Rocko's Modern Life. Everything Boom is doing with those, like, continuing cartoons is great. I haven't read the Invader Zim books, but I hear they're really good. And those are still coming out.
Man.
So if you were a 90s cartoon fan, I mean, it's like prime time for you still.
If you were a 90s edgy kid, listen. This shit's still out there.
It's still happening. It's still good.
And then, there's also, like, the Flintstones books are really good. Like,
I still need to read those because I hear they're amazing.
They should be.
Yeah. And a lot of people like Scooby Apocalypse.
Yeah.
And that's something just crazy you never thought would happen, right? Like,
but that's what's great about comic books. You can do anything. Like, Kyle's Mars Attacks.
Oh my god,
it's fantastic.
Yes,
it's
that's
not
for everyone too.
Attacks, but if you like that kind of genre, that like 90s alien movie genre, I really recommend Mars Attacks.
No, I do too. I mean, even if you're not into that and you just like a character driven story. I mean, this really is about 2 people who get stuck in Mars attacking. Like, that's what it's about. So, like, you don't need to have any prior knowledge about the movie or think I haven't seen the movie. I don't care. Like, but it's so good. I'm not just saying that because we like Kyle and he's my friend. It's really good.
Yeah, he's very talented. I wouldn't recommend it if I didn't.
It's good. It's funny. It's heartfelt. Oh, Lloyd is asking, isn't Veronica Mars being rebooted for Netflix or some streaming service? That is Hulu next month. I'm so excited.
Ooh. Yes.
Ooh.
Yes.
Life.
Man, you guys, Veronica Mars.
Such a good time to be alive.
I recommend Veronica Mars like I recommend comics because, it only had 3 seasons and it ended early. And so I still just constantly push them like, oh, you haven't seen Veronica Mars? You got to see Veronica Mars.
I'm sure like they're going to make this show where you can just hop in on Hulu. But if you're, if you like what we like and we're really stoked about Veronica Mars, please literally go to Hulu right now. You can pause the show. It's fine. Go to Hulu. Yeah,
We'll be here.
we'll see you later. Watch the 3 seasons, like Maddie said, and the 3rd one's cut short. And it's going to end on a cliffhanger. You're like, what? Then there's a movie. Watch the movie because it's so good. And then you're going to have a show next month. So it really is not going to take that much time. You can do it.
Yeah. And once you're done, you'll be like, man, I wish I had some comic books to read that were like this.
Yeah.
Don't worry. There are.
We got tons.
So many. Man. Oh, yeah. Doctor Who comics are a thing for Doctor Who fans, by the way.
Yeah. I hear they're good. I haven't read any. Yeah.
There's one that, like, oh, man. I don't even think I have. I think I borrowed it. But that was about, like, the Doctor's other self. Spoilers, I guess, for Doctor Who. But, like, when David Tennant had, like, that other human version of himself that went with Rose. I think there's a book about that, which is I like.
That's fun. And the Torchwood comics are good too.
Fan fiction. I used to read a lot of fan fiction when I felt like there's not enough that I wanted. Like I didn't get enough from a show, and that's why comics are so great. Because
that was me too.
There's so much.
That is what's great about like this continuing series and comics thing. It feels like fan fiction, but it's not, because again, often the creators are actually involved, and by fan fiction I mean good fan fiction, like stuff like you wish had happened. Oh, it's happening, great, like it's awesome.
So I guess we could talk about like different books you recommend for different genres or different types of things. We have time.
Yeah.
Like I think a lot of people wanted recommendations after the MCU happened. And I thought that was a little tricky because, you can't I can't immediately recommend, oh, so you liked the Avengers movies or you like these characters in the Avengers, go read these things. Because some of them, the characterization is different, or it's a little bit harder to get into because with Marvel, there's so many, some books don't do a good job if it's a big group book like Avengers, giving you enough knowledge. Like you need to know other things to fully enjoy.
That's how we felt about Hickvengers, right?
Yeah, I still do, and I'm sorry.
Yeah. I'm not sorry. I just feel that way. But it's true because, my main complaint was I don't understand, like, I don't feel like I know these characters.
Yeah.
So, like, they're saying all these things and, like, just things keep happening, but I don't actually get to know these characters. And that's because I hadn't read anything prior. That's how I feel, at least. I mean...
And I feel like the best thing I can recommend that's related, if you like the Marvel movies and you want to read something more, would be books like, my top picks anyways, would be Planet Hulk. I think it's a great recommendation if you enjoy the MCU and if you like Thor Ragnarok, because it's the same movie.
I still got to do that, yeah.
And Jason Aaron's Thor. I think, bar none, Jason Aaron's Thor, and that's a really good book to jump into without any prior knowledge of the MCU or MCU, but the Marvel comic universe or comic books. Sorry, like that would be a good for a beginner, I think, because you have a fantasy aspect too. It feels very fantasy, so if you like fantasy books, it's great to jump into. If you like Norse mythology, it's great to jump into, and the art's beautiful, and you don't have to know anything else. And if you start, and you can start from the beginning of Jason Aaron's run until now because he's still writing it. And
yeah, that's really true. Good. And I think it is hard when the writers jump around, so it's hard to recommend those kind of things.
And that makes it hard to recommend Western comics too.
At least the big two.
Listen, it's the same guy.
Yeah.
And only sometimes that's bad because if they go on hiatus,
yeah,
you can't do anything. But yeah, I mean, what do you have any recommendations for people because I'm sure people have come to you like, oh man, I really enjoyed the Marvel movies. Should I read what should I read?
Yeah.
That I'll get into.
It's hard because, I've read a lot of Marvel, but not a lot of Marvel. I can't say that about a lot of, people and things, but it's easy for me to go back to Astonishing X-Men because people are like, how do you get into X-Men? I mean, that's hard because there's such a convoluted history that it's I mean, that's why I haven't read certain eras of X-Men because I feel like I can't until I read other things, and I don't want to do all that. Yeah. And I know, a lot of people can jump in and be fine. I don't know, and maybe I can, but it daunts me. It makes me stressed. So that's an easy one to go to. You know, and I know lately we've been pushing Gwenpool pretty hard, but I think that's a fun one to be like, this is also what Marvel Comics can do.
Yeah,
because
I
it's
got
so
recommendations from the chat too. Lee said Gwenpool as well, and he also said if anyone wants to explore superheroes as a concept, Irredeemable is critical, which I agree with. I think if you want to read something not really that subverts the genre, but something that kind of is aware of the superhero genre, I think Irredeemable is a perfect example. I prefer that over The Boys. Marty recommends All New Avengers, which I haven't read. I've read actually really any Avengers stuff except for Hick Avengers.
Yeah, I don't think I have either. We got to fix that because my mind's tainted from it.
I know. I'd like to read other stuff.
Yeah.
See, Woodard recommends Brubaker's Captain America. I would like to check that out. I want to connect with Captain America more because right now in the comic books, when I see him, I don't connect with him like I do in the movie. I just see this guy and I'm like, okay, well, he's here.
Right.
Also, Daredevil Born Again, if anyone likes the Netflix stuff, I agree.
Ultimate Spider-Man, I mean, that's a good one.
Miles Morales Spider-Man I loved. I love Miles Morales. And man, speaking of that, Spider-Man movie is so good. Peter Parker Ultimate Spidey is great for new readers too. I'd like to check that out. I haven't read that much Spider-Man actually. I've read Miles Morales Spider-Man, and that's about it. I guess I should read more. I did read like Craven's Last Hunt and like special events, but that's but I'm really behind on Marvel too. I think I need recommendations.
I get that. I'm going back in the chat a little bit because I missed some of this. And Lloyd earlier said he agrees completely about schools as a great way to introduce readers to the medium, but maybe not Watchmen for starters. It's funny you say that. I wouldn't put Watchmen in even in high school. I don't know. I wouldn't try to tackle that as a teacher. But for my graphic novels class in college, we read Watchmen. And I think that's also a great... There should be more... I mean, maybe there are more classes like that. Mine at my school, I got in the moment it was offered, and then they didn't do it again. So, yeah, so it's kind of sad. I mean, it was a fun class. And we read a variety of different things.
And it seems like DC and Marvel, it seems like they're making a big push for younger books right now, too, because we're getting a lot. Like, DC has announced a ton of YA graphic novels coming out. And so far, they've been pretty good. I mean, they're nothing, like, amazing. I will say that. But I have enjoyed them. I think it's a great way to get new readers into it. Because once you read a graphic novel about a character, you're probably going to keep going. But there's crazy, awesome plans coming out for the next year. Like, it's so much.
It's funny, like, Marvel's not really doing that, but they are re-releasing some books in a smaller trade format, like, targeted toward children. Like, they're doing that with Unstoppable Wasp, and some of the other, like, woman-centric books. Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, which I guess that's already, like, a lot of kids pick that up. So I don't really understand that thinking, but I'm not a business.
It is. A lot of these are, like, directed towards young women. I didn't even think about it until right now when you were saying that, because I was thinking about the list of books coming out, and a lot of them are younger female readers, which is pretty interesting. Although when I think about, like, looking on the internet, and this is just my observation, I have no data to back this up, it's purely observational, but looking on, like, TikTok and Tumblr and Instagram and Twitter, the people that are really making the fan art and doing the cosplay and writing fan fiction, that are really into stuff are younger women now, it seems like. Younger women, younger LGBT is what I see. Because, like, those are the ones that I meet up with person that are, like, cosplaying Superboy and cosplaying, like, Roy Harper and doing all these, like, because of like, shows like Young Justice and Teen Titans and everything else. It'll be interesting to see how this is just somewhat unrelated, but it'll be interesting to see how that affects the comic book industry in the future, to see if that, like, affects which kind of books get written and in sales and things. But
yeah, it's always interesting, like, I guess Marvel's been doing that for a while, like re-releasing in a smaller trade, because they did that with Runaways. Because when I was younger, I had the little ones for my littler hands, I guess. I don't, you know, trays aren't that big, but.
They sell better at those Scholastic book fairs.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe that's what they're doing. Yeah. Another recommendation in the chat, Deadpool by Brian Posehn and Gary Dugan. Yes, if you've seen the Deadpool movies and you're interested in the character, that is a really great run. You can just start it, and it's written by a comedian. I mean, so it is funny. It's fabulous. So that's a good one to just jump into.
Lemire's New 52 Green Arrows and very new reader friendly. I agree. For sure. Miss Marvel, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I haven't read Deadpool. I need to fix that.
That is the run that I would recommend starting with, because it is really great. I mean, Fariha even loved it, and she hates Deadpool. So
yeah, I hate him for so long, and I feel bad. I mean, the movie changed that for me because again, I go to a lot of conventions, and so it's purely based on the cosplayers that would cosplay him. And now it's different, but for a while it was obnoxious. It was the worst.
Oh, yeah.
So just based on those interactions, I was like.
Well, and even as a character, I mean, he's highly obnoxious, of course, and somewhat terrible. But what's great about those movies, and at least the Brian Posehn run, and I recently read Deadpool World's Greatest, which is the follow-up. And so there are the hijinks and, you know, the funniness and the horribleness, but there's always a little heart mixed in.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it gets me. I'm like, oh, I feel that. Like, that's cool that you can be this obnoxious character, but like, still have feelings and still, you know, be able to love someone or something.
I do like characters like that a lot.
Yeah.
So we're getting towards the end of this. Have you read or watched anything interesting lately you want to share with the class? Or
let me check my Goodreads again. What I've watched, no one watching will care, so I'm not even going to mention it.
Oh, I watched Good Omens. That's really good.
Oh, I plan to watch that soon.
It's really good.
Awesome.
Also, I've never read any Neil Gaiman comics. Can somebody make sure I do that? I think I'm like a bad comic book fan now because I haven't read anything.
I mean, I've only read one volume of Sandman, and that was back in my graphic novels class, so I had to.
I need to fix that.
You know, yeah. I read My Cat is More Impressive Than Your Baby, which is by Matthew Inman, who is the oatmeal guy.
Okay.
So it's one of those oatmeal books, but it was so funny because of course it was. So check that out. And I mean, you laugh at the title, but it was great. And I mean, that My Friend Dahmer, that was probably my last one that I want people to check out. And again, Comixology Unlimited has more than you guys think it does, because that was great.
Man, bless those digital services.
I know, right?
They're so nice. Especially Unlimited, because it's a Comixology, because it's so easy to use.
Oh, yeah.
Marvel needs to fix their program because it sucks.
I mean, guys,
but it sucks.
It sucks real bad, and no one ever talks about that. Like, I swear, the interface is terrible. The way it works is terrible. Often the app will just, I saw some people complaining in our group about, oh, I can't log in. Well, that's normal. Everyone commented was like, that's normal. This app is trash. They haven't fixed it for like 10 years. And it's so true. Like, I got it back when it started. And I can't tell you how many times it crashed on me, or I couldn't sign in. And then when I finally went to cancel the service, there was like no cancel button anywhere. And that was a nightmare on its own. And I'm like, what's going on? So I can't even tell you how often people have to like delete the app and then download it again. And I'm like, guys, fix it.
It's so bad. And it's sad because like they've got there's so much on there. Like ideally on paper, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
But then if you read it, like I have a Windows tablet, but it doesn't do apps the same way. So I have to like go to the site and look up the comic and hope that it comes up in the search thing. And then I can read from the first volume. And then like, it's obnoxious. Hard. It's obnoxious. It's really hard to find stuff. And it makes me so mad.
I also know why they put single issues on there. I get it. And they release them as singles, and that's fine. But how about all that old stuff that's in trades? You just go ahead and bundle those into trades so people can read them in like a bulk way that feels better and is less complicated. And
Yeah.
it stresses me out, so I never use it. I'm just like, fine. I have all these omnibus I haven't read. I need to do something else.
Oh.
It's difficult. Yeah, someone's saying they love the DC streaming, but their apps are glitchy. Well, big two.
Agreed.
What are we doing? So
It's all bad. In DC, the reason why I haven't watched as many, we have a subscription, but like I can't stream it from my phone. The button's there that says to stream it from my phone to my TV. This is my first world problem, you guys. But it won't work on my TV, and it's just like, oh, it just doesn't work on some TVs. And but then sometimes it'll work. Sometimes it doesn't. Like, what is happening? So finally, I have like a TV that hasn't like an app for it, but now I'm just mad. So I'm never gonna finish Doom Patrol, and then like,
it sucks because I feel that. I mean, so Lee's saying in the chat, Marvel and DC services are both glitchy, hard to use, and clumsy. Only having titles and singles makes reading a series kind of annoying. The search functions are weak too. It's so true. It's just, it shouldn't be this hard. And yes, these are totally first world problems. But at the same time, if I'm paying for this service, that's why I don't. I'm like, I can't do it. It bothers me too much.
I would recommend both of them more if they fix those problems. And then they wonder, like DC wonders why it's not doing well, you know, because it's very likely that the app may go away. At least that's what everyone's been saying, as well as their shows. I'm like, well, you should fix it from the beginning. Mm-hmm. You jumped into this. It was a great idea, and it was obviously poorly planned and implemented.
It's one of the things. To be. Yeah, like I don't understand. Like Comixology's doing it right. Yeah. Even if you just look at their unlimited, like it flows amazingly well. Like it's so smooth. I know they've been doing it for a long time, but I don't think that matters because I'm sure Marvel and DC have been working on this a long time before they actually released it to the public. And then it's been years for Marvel, and it's still bad. And DC just comes out with it, and they're like, "This is all glitchy and bad." I don't get it. I'm like, these companies have money. What's going on? Like,
exactly. There's no excuse. At least we'll always have Comixology because if I'm having a slow day at work, it's a bad day. I'm like, listen, I want to go ahead and read this thing. I'm just going to go ahead and buy it. So I'm going to read it now. Like,
that's what I do. Yeah.
And it's great. It's so easy to do.
It's so easy. And people complain about the unlimited on there, but I always find stuff. Always. I don't know what someone's complaining about. I mean, all the time I see people being like, yeah, it's trash. It's not worth it. I'm like, guys, I don't know. I find stuff all the time.
It's strange that Paradise did a great job because like they would have so much unlimited, and then like a few trades wouldn't be unlimited, and then it would be unlimited again.
And yeah.
Smart, because I bought that shit. I was like, I gotta read this now.
Well, and people complain about that, but I'm like, guys, they can't put everything on there. They'd make no money. I mean, it is a business for everyone. Like,
yeah,
makes sense to me. And you still get a good deal.
Yeah, I was buying all my Buffys that way because I don't always have time to make it to the comic book store. So, but I want to read it when it comes out, and I want to support them. So, like, yeah.
Have you read that last Angel?
How digital, like, how much money they make off digital versus like print, or if they do. I'd see those numbers.
I would imagine they would make more money off digital because there are no printing costs.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know how it works either. I always assume that like digital should be cheaper, by the way. I'm like, you don't get a physical thing.
I know.
But it never is. And I'm like, I still don't get that to this day. I don't understand.
Like, you do get a discount as a Comixology Unlimited member.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's it.
And it's not that much.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
But I figure I guess it's just me hoping that more money goes to the creators or whatever. Which, I think I need these comic book artists to do just a panel like, here's how you can spend your money most effectively to make sure that I'm getting money and that the series continues. I need somebody to break down the numbers for me exactly and let me know what I can be doing at all times to make sure that I'm doing my best for you.
I mean, unfortunately, that's always going to come back to the direct market and singles.
I hate singles.
I know. I'm just saying.
I don't like them. I've never liked them. I only like them as artwork for my shelf. Like, I don't want to read singles. I
hear you, but that is the best way to support any comic writer and artist and the book itself. It's how the system is. Yeah. Did you
like a Shonen Jump version where you give me? I spend so much money on a magazine every month that gives me the latest issues. I don't care if it's like this thick. I don't care. That's fine. I'll do that.
Or even, gosh, that app. They're doing it right. Like, I have not had glitchiness on that Shonen Jump app, by the way, and it's $2 a month. Like, guys, look over there and look at what they're doing.
I know.
They're killing it.
It's crazy. Well, manga apps know what to do.
Yeah, I guess so.
I've been reading illegal manga apps. I mean, not anymore, but I did forever. And they knew how to make this work. But everybody
These big
else.
two just need to look at it.
Yeah, make it just easy and digestible. Like, stop this. Let me search by genre. With it.
Are you still picking up Angel?
I'm behind. I went to China, so now I'm just really confused about where I am with everything.
I think it was the first issue or the second one that just came out. I just grabbed it from a store, but I haven't read it yet.
I'm gonna get the trade. Or it's gonna be like a hardcover, right? Or something?
I think a standard hardcover they're coming out with.
I'll see. Really.
Yeah. It has the cover of Zero on it.
Okay.
Which I didn't love, but, I'll probably get it too.
I'll buy it. I mean,
keep supporting it because I want more to come out.
Man, speaking of Angel-related things, how cruel is fate that I would walk into a half-price books earlier this week and finally see the Illyria trade paperback, which is wicked out of print. Only 4 issues in that trade. It was on sale for $100, which unfortunately was kind of a good deal, but I was not justify paying that much for a book that's just 4 issues.
Even if you had a 50% off coupon,
I'd pay that, which is unfortunate.
Would you? Because I can't. I don't know. I don't think I could do that. Like $50 for a little trade that I can get like digitally. I don't know.
It's for the sake of this collection of these books I haven't even started reading.
Yeah, I hear you.
I just want to read them all together. I want it to be complete, and so I can just sit, have some tea, and just get to work.
I mean, but you could just pull up that Comixology, read it real quick.
That's true. I don't know.
But yeah,
I look at my bookshelf, and it's like, hey, do you know what you don't have?
It haunts you, yeah. Which, if anyone, by the way, is an Angel fan, they just had the anniversary, like, Entertainment Weekly get-together or whatever that was, and that was so good. Have you not seen it?
No!
Oh, I'll link you, girl. I'll link you.
Oh,
it's fabulous. They all look good. They all look good, and I love it. I'm getting a link for you.
Thank you. So, unrelated to what we talked about, but I want to apologize to everybody that I haven't done anything for Pride this month on any of my shows or channels. So happy Pride. It's the last day.
Yeah.
I haven't done anything, but I hope that I do a good job of celebrating Pride throughout the year and LGBT books. So
that's how I feel. And, we were working on a show, but then it became like difficult. So, and I didn't want to do anything without you. So I'm like, come on, like Maddie. So maybe we'll do next month. Cause you know what? Every month should be Pride Month. So
yeah. Next month, my birthday month. So
awesome.
Pride Month then too. So it's fine.
All right. Well, I think we're at it. We're at that hour, aren't we?
Yeah. I think we did good. I need to go clean, I guess.
Yeah, me too. Well, thank you to everyone in the chat. We appreciate everything you said and watching with us so early. Given the
recommendations you want to add in later, you think about, let us know in the comments and whatever.
Please do. There's a lot of stuff we still haven't read, so recommend it to us.
Yeah. Thanks again to our sponsor, In Stock Trades. I'm still hoping somebody will give me some gift cards so I can spend some birthday money on In Stock Trades.
That is the best present.
Yeah, I just keep trying to slip that everywhere. I'm like, listen, I have a wish list. You know?
Look at it.
And thank you guys so much. Hope you have a good rest of your Sunday. And we will see you next week.
Oh, yeah. And check out the Bros at noon Eastern.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.